Hello, my name is Trenton Osvath, and I will be giving my pathological research over metabolic alkalosis. For diagnosis conditions, metabolic alkalosis is defined as a disease state where the body's pH is elevated to greater than 7.45 due to a failure of metabolic processes, as discussed in Brink and Shaman's report. Now, through blood and urine tests, they can determine your pH levels as well as alkaline substances like bicarbonate. And this can be seen on the side image here. Uh, and when pH and bicarbonate are up, it shows that it is a sign of metabolic alkalosis being present. Now, with body systems affected and onset symptoms, the body part that is most commonly involved with causing metabolic alkalosis is the stomach. And what happens is that it begins to produce more bicarbonate, and this causes an imbalance of pH levels. And the more of the bases that are formed than acids, the more pH levels begin to rise. Now, other organs that are associated with more severe versions of this pathology are kidneys, heart, and a liver failure, and typically failure of all of these to maintain pH balance. Now, all body parts are subject to being affected by metabolic alkalosis due to it being relayed through the blood. Now, these symptoms are acute as long as a treatment is given. Now, general confusion, tremors, feeling faint, muscle spasms, nausea, vomiting, and numbness of face, feet, and hands are all typical generic signs of metabolic alkalosis. But these all can range in severity. Now, it could be not noticeable at all to having near constant painful muscle spasms. Normal set point range conditions are described to be between 7.35 and 7.45. And as discussed before, the more bicarbonate that is present, the more alkaline the blood becomes. And in this image below, it shows for acidosis, but again, it kind of gives a good idea of, despite having a small change in pH blood levels, if it is not within the normal set point range, it could begin to cause harm to the body. And the further away you go from your normal set point, the closer you become to just dying, as shown here with it being at 7.0, being death. And that is only a small bit away from the 7.35, which is the low end of your set point range. Now, there are plenty of treatment options for the severity of metabolic alkalosis, and generic treatment usually involves meeting the patient's fluid and electrolyte needs that allow the body to correct the alkalosis through its own mechanisms. And generally, an IV of 0.9% saline solution for chloride responsive metabolic alkalosis is given. Now, in cases where it is more severe, like being over 7.6, would require urgent correction of blood pH, being through hemofiltration or hemodialysis, which would be filtrating the bases out of the blood. And this is normally given to a volume overload or renal dysfunction patients. And in cases where that even isn't an option, you could simply give mineral acids, and those would allow the bases to lower and to lower pH levels. Now, in most cases of metabolic acidosis, it is resolved in a short time with the symptoms being acute. Now, for underlying symptoms such as the ability to keep balance or organ failure could be a more long-term recovery for metabolic acidosis. It just varies on the severity and what is the cause. But with that, that'll be the end of my pathology report. And here I will show the references as seen throughout the slides, and more particularly my image references here.